getting back into the swing of things. We're looking at some new ways to present topics and maybe progress and transformation. Like conversations about things. But honestly, this conversation, moving energy, is really, to be honest, it's the where it all starts anyway. So if you haven't yet, please hit subscribe. If you like us, share us. Um, and that's what I got for right now on that. I don't know. Think of anything else? Did I miss anything?
Yeah, if you don't subscribe,
No, 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 no. We're not going to send a Gestapo to your door or anything like that. No.
um, I would say subscribe even if you don't like us, because I mean, what does it hurt, right?
Yeah, right. That's a good point. Okay, that's a good point. I mean, it doesn't hurt anything. Like, to be honest, I don't really know what subscribing does on YouTube because I subscribe to a lot of things and
You see one thing here and one thing there. Once in a while, you get a message. Yeah, me too.
yeah, so but
It's just the currency they use. So spend freely.
our subscribers are over 100, so that's good. And we've got some little videos that are doing pretty good. So it
Sweet.
seems like things are looking up a little bit. We're getting a little bit more views. So we're really going to try hard, over the next few months to figure out a way to really be keep the flavor of just the conversation, but also be helpful and transformative, and
Yeah.
just keep the light shining in the
Yes.
world. So
Yes. Now more than ever.
for real.
Yep.
And that's no matter what side you're on. Everybody's
Agree.
angry
100%.
angry or afraid about something.
Yep.
So, which is just not something you'll ever hear us talk about on this show, although we may every now and then allude to it.
I love the eye roll, Angie. The eye roll and the flutter.
Well, you know what I
Got
always
my heart
say,
pumping now.
right? My face speaks for itself, but that just is what it is.
It is what it is.
Apparently, it's a Libra thing, but I don't know. I'm seeing all these, memes. Libra, my face. I can't help it.
Right. And those Sagittariuses are out there trying to make everybody happy.
Well, there you go. Anyway, okay, so I decided today, because we got to the last minute without really choosing a topic, that I wanted to talk about moving energy. This moving energy itself is not something that I'm unfamiliar necessarily, but it's a concept that was sort of fleshed out in a workshop that I was in with Dougal Frazier. And he really focuses on the idea that moving energy is what helps you uh, get into flow, right? Moving energy is what really helps you move forward. If you're trying to create a business, it helps you create your business. If you're trying to create an easier life, is um moving energy is for real, like the thing that works. So I know you've got some stories. I'm going to just start by saying I have noticed that I've been doing little things, you know,
Got it.
um, wow. I have noticed that every time I do some kind of a little project, that some other thing starts to shift.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah. So you handle you handle the moving of the energy, and then everything else starts to happen after that.
right, exactly. You know what? Just turn off the comments.
All right.
Just turn it off. We're going to talk. Coventina, if you're out there, you have the access to message either one of us on the Facebook Messenger. Please do it that way because we're going to ignore the comments and just talk to each other. John.
Yep. I know. I am closing it.
Um. Anyway, so I mean, you hear people talk about, like clearing the clutter will clear your mind, or Obviously, my mind is not all that clear, to be honest with you. But I mean, that's a really big one, right? Clearing the
Right.
clutter will clear your mind. And
Yeah.
I've just noticed that when I do these, like I clear out a cabinet, then all of a sudden a little check comes in the mail, or you know, clear out a closet and all of a sudden something I've been waiting for shows up, or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a really interesting. I mean, and if you think about it, when we're talking about like Pam Grout or, those people that teach those kind of concepts
Yeah.
about how you move through the world is how you interact with the universe.
Yeah. How you
Moving
get in the
energy
flow.
is really, it's a very broad, um, it is a very, what am I trying to say? It's a very broad statement to cover doing a lot of different things. A lot of people say, have you ever heard the one where it's like if you have anxiety, move 27 things,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and that's really common in um that's really common with therapists and what have you.
You know what? I think the underlying principle is that manifestation does not like stagnation.
That's a good way to put it. That is true.
And my favorite quote on that is from a guy I studied with years ago. He said, "You cannot steer a parked car." He
Well, there
said,
you go.
"Yeah." And he
Right?
basically said, "You got to start and then you can steer. So you got to get the energy moving and then you
I
can."
love that.
Yeah,
I
I do
love
too.
that.
It's one of my
Can't
favorite metaphors. It really is. You cannot steer a parked car.
We need to write that one down.
All right. We'll title that our next episode.
Well, no, not the next one. We're already
Okay. All
talking about
right.
it today.
We'll give it a
That'd be a little repetitive. We'd be parking the car if we did that. It's really interesting, like I wonder sometimes, because that I in my life there's been a lot going on for the last almost 10 years. And so while living spaces, have remained pretty intact, uh, the sort of extra spaces are starting to close in, right?
Mhm.
The clutter is starting to
Yep.
catch up. Like the places that are meant for storage um are, getting full, and then the places that shouldn't be meant for storage are becoming, that's just how it happens, right?
I
Like
know. I know. When you
it
run out of space, you just start taking up space.
right. And the thing of it is, um it I notice that I have physically more energy when things get cleared out around me. So when
I
I
know. Me
start
too.
doing like,
Yeah.
things like that. So I wonder, I'm always looking for, esoteric connections to physical actions. And I really believe that, all my talking about balance and peace and calm, energetic balance, being centered, being grounded. I really feel like this clearing of clutter and moving of energy is an important component to that. So I know you have a story,
I do.
and so what is A, the story, and what is B, the result? Meaning,
Yep.
how did you wind up feeling? How did it turn out for you?
Yeah. Good question. So, about 6 months, maybe 9 months ago, I committed to clearing out my space, and I think it was one of the books I was reading by oh shoot, I can't remember his name, but it was a really simple concept. He basically said, get a banker's box and number it, and then get um, a piece of paper, or in my case, a notes program, and everything you put in box one, put type it in. Everything you put in box two, type it in. And so if you ever need to find something, you pull up that document, like, oh, it's in box two. There you
Oh
go.
yeah, right. And if it's in a notes program, you can control F.
exactly. You can find your stuff. I was like, this is brilliant. I don't have to like try and, memorize. Anyway, I did it. And all the boxes are over there. I cleaned up this room. I had so much free mental space and energy. And then my dear mother passed away, and we cleaned out her apartment.
Mm.
And lots of stuff that she had, kind of willed to us as kids ended up in this exact same room.
Wow. So you shifted energy, you cleared space, and it,
It
I
came
mean,
back.
practically instantly filled back up on you.
It came back.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. So it was a weird experience. And I said to myself, okay, what this means is it's not one and done. It is the process, or dare I say, it's the energy of downsizing that I have to embody, not the do it once and I'm done. Okay, good to go. I have to become the energy of downsizing. And so
Right.
it just pervades me. And once I realize that, it's like, okay, I can now do this again and not worry that it's going to happen, because that's just part of that's part of who I am now, is gradually and frequently, you know, going through that process.
Well, it's really interesting that it gave me an idea, or a thought, and it's about people on a weight loss journey. And
Ah, yeah, good
I'm
point.
involved, right? I'm involved in that kind of a situation. And when you really talk to people who have done it, every one of them tells you the maintaining is harder
Then the
than the
list.
losing.
Yep,
The
I would agree with that.
maintaining is harder than the losing.
Yeah.
So,
It's
um,
because you know what? It's almost just on that thought. I wonder if that's because there's no end point, right? When you have a
well,
goal.
there is that, but the other thing is you can do anything for a short period of time.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
And it
Yep,
may not be a short period of time. It might be 2 years, it might be a year, it might be 3 years, when you're
right.
talking about weight loss anyway.
Yep.
But and this is where I'm going. If in that time you don't manage and modify your relationship with the cause of the issue,
Oh, yeah.
then maintaining is really going to be hard or maybe even impossible.
Yeah. Let's take it back to collecting stuff. My relationship with stuff is that hoarder's not quite right, but I do like my stuff, right?
Yeah.
We have a next door neighbor. Every year, she has this garage sale of practically everything she bought in the previous year. And I'm like, that's brand new. She says, yep, I don't need it. I'm like, I'd be like, this is brand new. I have to find a place to put it because I can't get rid of it because it's brand new. I need my stuff. That, so,
Well, and so I mean I would purport or whatever that she also has an issue,
okay, okay, I'll give you that.
right?
Yep.
Because so she's figured out how to deal with it, but she hasn't figured out really how to address it.
Yeah.
The idea after clearing clutter is are those things that keep it from reaccumulating,
Mhm.
right?
Yep. Good point.
I remember Peter Walsh when he used to have that show, and it would be like, okay, we're going to get this taken care of here, but now you have to make these agreements moving forward. This space stays clear. If you bring in a new piece of clothing, you must get rid
Yep.
of
We have
an
to go.
old one,
Yep.
like things like that.
Yeah.
And
That's
then,
the agreement that I need to have.
and the other thing is, when it comes to, I mean, like for a long time, and I still struggle. It's still an issue for me. So, um, I do not like putting things in the landfill because I think we put entirely too much in the
Mhm.
landfill.
Mhm.
And that
Yep.
is to me an assault to the earth,
Yeah. Yep.
you know. Um however, how how much of your peace of mind, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it there's just it's so I don't
The
know.
That environmental factor is that's a big deal. And I have a bunch of old electronics at home that I don't want to throw away because I don't want that lead, the lead that's in
Right.
those things to go in the landfill. Now there are places you can responsibly recycle that stuff, and yeah, all right, that's the option, right? That's what I want to do.
Well, yeah, that's what you have to do.
Yep.
And I'm fully aware of that. And I have a lot of old or electronics myself. So um, I wish, here in town, once a year or so, they do a collection of household chemicals.
Oh, that's cool.
Chemicals, cleaning products, you
Paint.
know,
Yep.
well, except for latex paint. They don't take latex paint because they say latex paint is safe to go in the landfill.
Okay.
Um, which
Yes or no, right?
No, well, I mean, I think it probably is because it dries up solid, but like
True.
you're still
True.
contributing that
Yep.
volume, right, to the landfill.
Yep. The
So,
other thing is medicines. Getting those.
oh yeah, I take those to the pharmacy. You can
Okay.
take them to the police station too.
No kidding. All right.
Yep.
That's good
But
to know.
our
I will do that.
pharmacy has a um yeah, 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 really, because people should know you should, I mean, I even my friend thought you should just flush them down the toilet. You
No,
absolutely
no,
should not do that.
no.
You should never flush medicines down the
Yeah.
toilet or put them in the trash
Yep.
because that way they're just gonna get in the water. They need to be very responsibly disposed of.
I agree.
So,
Yep.
in fact, my husband's got one medicine that you can't even take to the pharmacy. You have to actually send it back to the manufacturer
Hmm.
for disposal if there's any of
Wow.
it left.
That's
It's also a $26,000 a month medication, so I don't know if that's got something to do
fabulous.
with it, um, but anyway, yeah. So if we're looking at all of this in the idea of moving energy, and I mean, I was really surprised when Dougal when he was talking about moving energy, how concrete or just how human what he was taught. When
Yeah.
I think about moving energy, I think about the energy ball fights I used to have with one of my students, or I think about balancing my energy or balancing my chakras or moving energy that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, if you really think about it, if everything is energy, right, then anytime you move anything, you're moving energy.
That's right. Let's go for a walk or drive the car around the block.
So,
You know what? Actually, that reminds me of something. Um, there was a study done, and I wish I had this at my fingertips, but I don't. There was a study done, and it was on specifically on weight loss, and they had like three groups of people. One group was a control group, didn't make any changes. One group like made a bunch of changes, and let's just say they ate earlier, right? And the other group made a bunch of changes, and they all ate later. And at the end of the study, they realized that everybody who changed anything lost weight.
interesting.
And so the conclusion was, you know what? One of the things you have to do to to accomplish something is to just get moving, to just get changing. So that goes right back to what you just said, that it's the
That
moving of the energy that,
really interesting.
yeah,
Like,
isn't that cool? That just
yeah.
totally made me go like, aha, it's not this little tiny detail or that little tiny detail. It's like, get moving. I'm like, all
Well,
right,
and but what's interesting about that is, you change the time, whether
yeah,
it's earlier or later. Now all of a sudden you have to think about what you're doing instead of just doing it by rote.
right. I
So
think there's
maybe
some
you might,
element of that.
if you're talking about, I mean, eh, you know, I guess it could really work with a lot of different things,
Mhm.
but you're not on autopilot.
Right, and I think
You're
when our
being
lives, for our businesses,
thoughtful.
yeah,
Right.
are on autopilot, that's when we get stagnant.
Right. And it's really interesting because I think that sometimes when you do start moving energy, things show up and uh what am I trying to say? Clarity.
Mhm.
There some clarity can come.
Yeah,
I
yep.
um I actually started I don't know if I said this last week, but I started moving stuff out of my physical space.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not going to do
just talked about
hands-on energy sessions anymore. not that I don't like to do them, but I don't want to do it as a vocation. So, why
Hmm. Why hold the
pay all
space?
that money for a storage unit,
Yeah,
really? And then I can have all my crystals at home with me where they belong.
where they belong,
Well,
and they're happier too.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Although they probably are like, well, how do you even know we're here? But anyway,
I'm just imagining this little conversation between crystals when we're not around.
I know, right? Well, they talk to me when I'm not looking.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
come back and buy me. You forgot to buy me. Oh, anyway, I mean, it's just maybe it's important to, how about this? Maybe in an effort to move energy, it's important to look at whatever it is, whatever, like, say, life area that you're talking about, and
Yep.
figure out what it is that you want, right? What do you really want? Like, like I had to really look at it. When I got that space, I really wanted to do energy sessions. I wanted to
Yeah.
do hands-on energy sessions. I loved doing it. Um, and so, the space made sense at the time. And then it got to the point where I would, I'd be doing an energy session, working on somebody, and think, oh, 45 minutes must have gone by. And I look, and it's like been five, you
Yep.
know, like,
Right.
so,
You're not into it anymore.
it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, it's not fun anymore.
It's
Yep.
not fun. It's not enjoyable. And at this point for sure, there's more behind me time than there is ahead of me.
Yep.
So why do I want to, kill myself or whatever to, um, why do I want to
Right.
kill
Why do you
myself to
tie
create
to an
something that
idea
I
that
don't even want to do,
right? It's already served its purpose.
Yeah, so it's time. And I got my dentist out of the deal, so there is always that. But,
Um,
it's really interesting. If I look back over the course of my life, I can identify a ton of things that were never meant to be with me for a long period of time that actually did deliver me things that were,
mm, mhm.
like, I mean, I wouldn't even be sitting here if I didn't sell Mary Kay Cosmetics, which I was never meant to do that. Never.
But
But I
it made
met
you a
somebody
connection.
there.
Yep.
I made a connection with somebody that, um, was a connection for my husband that wound us in a geographical location that we are,
Hmm.
that put me in the tax business because we're of that geographical location. I mean, it's just,
Yeah. Yeah. You look at the trajectory, and those kinds of look backs are always amazing. Like, wow,
and
I met
I would
that
hope
person.
that people could look back and find those things.
Yeah.
I don't look back with nostalgia. I don't look back with melancholy. I look
Right.
back with, oh,
It's
wow, look at that.
amazement.
Now I can see.
Yeah. Now
Now I
that's
can
right.
see
My
the
eyes have been
impact.
open. I see the path.
Right,
What an amazing
right,
ride this has been, right?
right. Yeah, because I mean, I've had friends. Oh, I wish we could go back to the 70s. No, thank you. I'm out. Like,
Right.
no, I mean, would I like to have that time again? Would I like to, somebody say, well, you can just have another 40 years and no charge? Yeah, that'd be cool. You know what I mean? Like, I could dig that.
Mhm.
But I don't want to go backwards and do it all over again.
No. Nope. I like where I am right now.
Me too. So if the idea is moving energy and you're trying to create something new for yourself, where do you start? Right? Like, where do you start? I really think that part of it is, what do you really want? Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And Abraham Hicks, that's just popped in my head. The Abraham Hicks collective says if 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 you're not experiencing joy, if you're not having fun, then you're going in the wrong direction. So make sure that you're having
mm,
fun. That's kind of your litmus test to see if you should be doing something.
right. So, and I think this is really an interesting like pivot in the conversation here because I know what is that they say, find something you love to do and you'll never work a day in your life
Yeah,
type of
I got a
thing,
funny counter to that.
Well,
But when you're ready.
it's okay. I just what is that quote I heard? I think it's actually on a commercial where the universe uh, equally distributes ability or creativity, but not opportunity. And that's not
Oh,
exactly what it is, but
oh,
that
yeah, that's
I
interesting.
think it's a commercial for a school.
Okay.
Like we
Huh.
all have we are all equally able, but not necessarily equally opportune.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That totally makes sense.
yeah. So I remember because I was listening to a conversation, and it was actually some speakers in Japan, and then Dougal Fraser, and he said, I think some people are not going to like me saying this, um, and I really would love to like just get my hands on him so I could pick his brain about it. But
Mm.
he said, I think that there is an element of manifesting that is privilege.
Oh,
You know,
oh, interesting.
yeah. I mean,
If we were wondering where our next meal was coming from, we wouldn't be sitting here right now.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yep.
So, um, and I lived a time in my life when I wondered.
Yeah.
So, is it okay? That's interesting. So, I mean, manifesting is not instant.
Nope.
There is no poof. I don't care what anybody says. There's no poof.
Oof.
I mean, if you buy a lottery ticket, poof, you might become a winner, but that's chance. That's luck. That's not the universe supporting you. I just don't believe that. I mean,
Mhm.
I just I believe that something like the lottery is just far too random
Mhm.
to be actual manifesting. I won't mention the part about tax refunds because we don't need to argue about that again. Um,
We've gone over that already.
yes. However, there is just an element of time where if in fact you want to manifest a better life for yourself, and you're right, if we were wondering where our next meal was coming from, neither one of us would be sitting here because
Mhm.
we wouldn't be paying for the computer, we wouldn't be paying for streaming, all
Yep.
of that.
All that stuff. Yep.
But if I didn't take steps to move forward all those years, and I can see them when I look backwards, I wouldn't be sitting here. So even though I came from a place where I was basically an orphan at 16 years old and literally on my own by the time I was 18,
Yeah.
um, I could have I could have gone in a million different directions than the one I'm in. And so is it important at no matter what stage that you just look at whatever action or energy you want to move and make sure that is moving forward.
Mhm. Mhm.
Maybe it's only a little bit forward. Maybe it's only a step, but doesn't every journey begin with a step? You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Again, it's that parked car thing.
right. I mean, you have to get in the car, put it in drive, unless it's facing the garage. That'd be a bad idea. Then you need to reverse. But
Right.
sometimes, you got to reverse to go forward. Sometimes you got to go a little bit backwards to go forward,
That's
and every
true.
once in a while, I've noticed that a little bit of a backward movement was a little bit of a slingshot.
Mhm. Yep. It kinda
You
gives you
know,
perspective, and it kinda gives you an undo, a little bit of an undo.
well, but it also pulls you backwards and shoots you a
Oh,
little
shoots
further
you forward. I
forward,
see what you're saying.
right?
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good way
So,
to say it.
yeah, I don't know.
You wanna hear
How
my
do you
joke
keep
about
your chin up, right? Like, is that it? How do you keep your chin up?
yeah. You wanna hear my joke about, do what you love?
Of course.
Alright. So this is on a post, I think on Facebook. It said, Do what you love, and you'll never work another day in your life because no one's hiring artists right now.
I mean, and the truth of it is, I can't even believe that I'm going to say this. I love doing income taxes. I love it.
You're in your groove when you do that.
I
That
do.
is
I
exactly
love
what
it.
you're supposed to be doing. Yep.
And I just feel like, isn't it fortunate that everybody wants to do something different?
Yeah, isn't it?
I'm so
Yep.
grateful that there are people that want to be doctors because I couldn't,
Yep.
or that want to be lawyers because I couldn't. Not because I couldn't, I'm not capable, but because I don't want to.
Right.
Like,
It's not
it's,
your vibe.
yeah, it's totally not my vibe.
Yeah.
I, I don't know what I would do. But there's a, um, there's a method of rules and order to preparing tax returns that I just find magical.
Mhm.
I know what it's supposed to look like when it's done. And then when I make it look like that, it makes me so happy. It's kind of like if you've ever heard, of an accountant that balances a column of numbers.
Yeah.
And when they balance, they're like, oh, it's like, ah,
Yeah.
you know,
Right. And I'm like,
um,
5 cents off? It's just 5 cents.
yeah, but not, it's enough to throw everything off.
Yep.
But,
But
I mean, so that's good. Do I want to? It is work though. I mean, I love to do it, but would I want to do it every day, all day long? No, thank you.
right.
I don't want to do anything every day, all day long. Like
Yeah.
I'm just that person,
Yep. But doing
Fortunate.
stuff in your jam. So I have a business coach, and he, I was complaining of overload in the work, and he basically said, and it took a while to get there, but he said, when you're doing stuff you love, it doesn't feel overload. When you have to do these other things, you're going stark raving mad because you hate it. He says, let's get that off your plate. Let's get you, some help on those things. And then even though it might be just a little bit of work we're offloading, you don't feel the overload because you're in your jam. I'm like,
That's right.
this sounds so good. Let's do it.
That's I don't remember. Well, I remember who told me, but it's like when they talk about the $10 tasks, the hundred
Yeah.
dollar tasks, the
And
$1,000 tasks.
Yep. Yep.
Offload all the $10 tasks.
Yep.
Although I really recommend everybody get a damn bookkeeper, okay? Or
Well, that's to that point exactly. One of the things I don't like doing is keeping track of expenses. So before too long, that will all be handled by.
well, and the truth of the matter is, if you, you know, okay, everybody assumes because they're. Can I tell this story?
Please.
I think so. I won't mention any names, so it shouldn't be a problem. But a lot of people assume because I do this, I can do this, right? Because
Yeah.
I do this, or because I'm smart, this is no big deal. And I think that it's really important that we as individuals really take a look at what is worth our time and what's not. So
Mm,
I can always bring it back to the tax guy in my head, like I remember when I had my tax office, I had one guy came in to have a tax return electronically filed because that was a thing back in the day
mhm.
where they would prepare it and we would electronically file it. But we'd have to enter it in the whole, we'd have to
Right.
enter the whole thing in the program, just like if we were preparing it.
Oh man.
And I only saw, and this was a really complicated return. And and he came out like spot on. And I asked him, I said, how long did it take you to do it? He said 14 hours.
Oh my. Oh my.
And I said, and at the time, I said, well, this return, we would have charged you $350 to do. Is that worth your 14 hours? He said, oh my God.
Right. Yep.
I mean, it would be more like 500 now,
Yeah. But point is,
because this is so many years
yeah,
ago.
what's your time worth?
So there's that guy. So he decided, he did it once, he did it well,
Yep.
but then he said, this is just too much.
Yeah.
where somebody that's got the software and the knowledge, and that's the big deal, the knowledge, can do it a lot faster
Hmm.
and chart, you're going to pay.
Yep.
So I did a tax return this week for a guy that has been, I'm going to say that he's in the financial world. Okay. So every time somebody's in the financial world, everybody assumes they know what's going on with income taxes, which they don't
That is not true
necessarily.
at all, is it?
No, it's not. So, I mean, I instantly, just looking at the copy of his tax return, caught a mistake that's been being perpetually made since 2017.
Ooh.
It involved rental property. And without going too deep in it, there are some rules regarding rental property that mean you have to take an expense. And whether you take the expense or you don't, when you sell that property, you're going to have to subtract that,
Oh, interesting.
right? And depreciation.
Yep.
That's
Oh,
how
sure. Yep.
it's allowed or allowable. So this guy has got $56,000 worth of depreciation that he hasn't taken over 8 years.
Yep.
It's not an easy thing to fix.
No.
I know how to fix it.
Amen.
When I sent it back, but so my point is, be willing to let go of the things or pay for the things that you're not sure about. Because if
Mhm.
that man would have done it one time back in 17 correctly, because he paid somebody to do it, and then he wanted to do it himself, he
Yeah.
probably would have got it correct.
Yep.
Because he would have looked, oh, what's this here? I need to understand what this is.
Yeah.
What's this on this line? Depreciation. And the truth is, you can practically, for a rental property, you can practically write the same number on every year because it's straight line, like just divided down the middle,
Oh,
or
yeah. Yep.
by 27 and a half, actually. But whatever. So my point is, try to do things that are going to move you forward and put you in flow, and then offload the things
That are going to
that are just
stagnate.
keeping you stagnant.
Yeah.
For example, the cleaning person. I have a cleaning person now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. What the hell? Why didn't I think of this before? I hate cleaning,
Hmm.
like I hate it. But it's so much easier to keep it picked up when somebody else does the cleaning, the
Right.
actual cleaning.
Right. Then you just maintain.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's
I got a question for you. This
yeah,
just popped in my head.
I love it.
All right. So we're talking about moving energy. We're talking about staying in flow. Can the act of something like Reiki or crystals help you move energy that affects other parts of your life?
Why not? Of course it can.
I wonder if anyone's done. I mean, why did I not think of doing Reiki on myself to help me move my life and business forward?
I don't know. Lots of people don't think of it.
Yep.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. When I work as a coach with people,
Hmm.
because that's what I really love to do. And
Yeah.
it's on Zoom, by the way, so
You can be
you
anywhere.
know, I can be anywhere, you can be anywhere. Um, one of the first things I ask, are you attuned to any kind of energy work? And almost all of the people will say, yeah, Reiki.
Hmm.
Really? How often do you do it on yourself? Oh, not very much. Why? You
Here's your
have
appointment.
it, you
Yeah.
know it, it's free, it doesn't take that long, and it can really help. Because the thing is, if you keep your energy in balance, right?
Hmm.
Balanced energy creates balance, it creates resilient energy, and resilient energy creates balanced reactions. And when you have balanced reactions, whether you're in business or a parent or just trying to take care of yourself or a loved one that's in the hospital, balanced energy is all over what you need to be, right?
Hmm.
Because when you get tired or you get stretched too thin, if your energy is nicely balanced, then those things that come at you don't affect you like they might,
That is so true. That is
you
so
know.
true. Yep.
So there's that. Now, when it comes to crystals, crystals have their own energy. I don't 100% buy the books on what crystal does what,
Mm-hmm.
but that's just because I work with crystals in a different way,
Right.
right? Than
Mhm.
because well, I speak with them. Okay, there, I said it. Um, However, that is not to say that if you work with crystals based on what one of those books tells you, it won't work.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
but I don't think they're uh what is the word I'm looking for? I don't think they're oh, this is good. Matthew, you're hilarious. Those properties are not written in stone.
Oh
Um,
man, can we
yeah,
can we can we get shirts with that
I
on
know,
it?
right? But I think there's a few things about crystals. So there is an energetic aspect, there's an energetic impact. But I think that when you create, let's say, a crystal grid for a specific purpose, you're setting the intention with that crystal grid
Mm-hmm.
and you're putting that crystal grid somewhere where it's visible. You are anchoring your intention to something outside of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you walk past that grid, it reminds you. When you walk past that grid, you think about it. Oh, my grid for financial freedom. We are financially free. When I walk past that grid, even when I don't, I know that it works because oh my God, but you think about your actions. Do you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? You
Right.
think
So
about
it
your
brings it
actions
home.
connected to that intention on that grid, and you take maybe different actions than you might have if you were just not paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
Does
Yeah.
that
Again,
make
it's the
sense?
autopilot thing.
Right, exactly. Now, I mean, I've seen people, I think that especially with crystals, it can go a little too far in the other direction. Like, I mean, I've run across people that were like, "Oh my God, I forgot my black tourmaline, and I don't know what I'm gonna do." And
Yeah. Yeah.
and you
Yep.
can see that they're visibly miserable, and it's
Yep.
like,
Yeah. Here. This one. Here's a substitute. No. 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 No.
no,
That won't work.
no, this is what I always, and you know what, it works every time. You can connect to the energy of a crystal without it being in your pocket.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Well,
Yeah.
and you actually can. I mean, I
Right.
do
No,
it
I
all
know.
the
I know
time,
that. Right. Well,
uh,
it's the same
but
thing as doing
but you
when
know,
you're
a lot of
visual.
people don't. But see, okay, we're gonna run out of time anyway. But I'm gonna give you this one bit, and then I'll get off the soapbox. People need to take responsibility for the state of their own being. You are not doing well or terribly because you do or don't have a crystal. Things aren't happening to you
Mhm.
because you don't have a crystal in your pocket or because your crystal broke.
Right.
Take responsibility
That's
for your
blame.
own.
That's like blaming. Blaming
Right,
your.
exactly. All of these things are tools, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, if you use a soft piece of wood to build a deck, do you blame the drill? No, right?
Right.
When it breaks,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's enough of that for me. I don't know. It's much easier to come up with conversations for the show when we give it a little more thought. But this came out okay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that energy affects, um, yeah, us moving forward, whether that's feng shui and stuff in your room or Reiki and crystals. So,
Yeah, right. Feng shui. That's so funny. Feng shui is my word for complicated.
yes, I know.
That's just way too feng shui for me. But there are good concepts in feng shui. It's just
Yeah.
too complicated for me.
Right. Well, that big red,
Um,
that
but
big
there are
square
some,
focus.
and I love the elements and
Yeah.
all of that.
Yep.
So
Yep. Hey,
anyway,
speaking of elements, do you want to do a quick reading for the room?
sure, why not?
Let's do it.
Yep.
I
What?
like that healing the inner child deck so much. I've kept it on my deck, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna pull my one card from the yes. All right, so this is what we're going to send people off with for the next week. Oh, interesting. All right, are you ready?
Not yet.
Okay.
Man, I can't believe I already wrecked this one.
Oh,
Well, I mean, the edges. Okay, now I'm ready.
okay. All right, so the card I pulled was this one, card number 18, which is the blind spot.
Oh, isn't that interesting? I was just talking about blind spots today. Go ahead.
So the inner child thing is from perspectives of your younger self. Look at a list of adjectives. Is there anything that you are blaming your parents for? And it goes on and says, it in your life, if there's things that you are blaming or thinking are happening to you, you have a blind spot. Um,
Oh, interesting.
it says here, in the book, adulthood is the process of untangling the threads and becoming the author of our own life. Parents are godlike beings to their children. They're the ones that gave you life. They might be loving, angry, present, or distant. Their attitude toward you created your first impression of yourself, for better or worse. And it goes on and says, we need the guidance and patience to unplug the deeply wired beliefs and behaviors that were instilled in us since our birth. And those deeply instilled behaviors can often be those blind spots.
Wow, that's I had a session this morning and we were talking about it's funny that because it relates to energy work, how I said you should never do Akashic work for yourself
Hmm.
because you have blind spots.
Ah,
And
interesting.
so, and I love this because that sort of fits
That
right
ties up
in,
completely.
to that idea. Like,
Yep.
because you're going in to work on traumas, to work on behaviors, to work on
Right.
fear or whatever it might be.
Which are absolutely hidden from your own view.
Exactly. Which is why you're going in to work on it, right? So that's amazing. Okay, I've got one, and I'll make it quick, and then that'll be that for today.
All right.
But I was just thinking today how I love giraffes.
Oh,
And it's
nice.
card number 2, needs.
Needs.
We all
Beautiful.
have needs, and much of the pain and violence we see in the world stems from unrecognized and unmet needs. One of the
That
most
is so true.
powerful actions we can take is to meet our needs and the needs of our inner child. So
Mm.
what does that even mean?
Hmm.
There's a you know I think that working with the inner child could be a long process.
Hmm. I believe that.
I think there's a lot of work. I think a lot of like as we talk about energy work and how I was not really wanting to do individual sessions,
Yeah.
on the table anymore. This lights me up. This fascinates me.
Right. Right.
Let
Yep.
me help you get to the bottom of this
Yeah.
because between the cards and the information I can get, you know, I love it. So
You
I
got to
don't know.
be.
I'm
Yep.
gonna have to work on. I'm gonna have to work on that. That might be something I'm interested in doing moving
Yeah.
forward.
And this deck is really connecting to a lot of interesting things for me. So I'm going to keep going
Yeah,
through it.
I need to do it a little bit more. Honestly, I need to use it a little bit more. So
Hey, why don't we? Here's an idea. Why don't we go through the whole deck like we did with Tarot Time?
oh, that might be interesting.
Yeah. All right,
That might,
fans, you heard it here first.
yeah. Let's see how that.
Okay. See how it plays out. Sleep
I
on it.
no. I just think going through the whole deck one at a time feels a little regimented. We're going through the deck to connect with the energy of the day of the week. So if how do I put this? If a card comes up more than once or we both pull it, that means there's a greater need for it.
I agree with
So
that.
I
So we'll do it
say
like we're
instead of
currently doing.
going through the whole deck one at a time, we just do it every week.
Okay. I'm
Does
in.
that work? Does
That
that make
does. That
sense?
makes more sense. That makes more sense.
Yay. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you so much. I know people
I
came
love
in
you
and
all.
out joining us. I don't. I guess we missed our Coventina today, but I'm sure I know she's doing a lot of things. So I hope she's doing well with her book.
Yes.
And meanwhile, uh, we'll do a little better job figuring out what we're going to talk about next week. But we will continue at the end of the show drawing these cards. Healing the Inner Child. It's from the Healing the Inner Child Oracle by Nina. Yeah, by this girl, Nina
Manjandra. Yep.
Manjandra, published by Hay House, Healing the Inner Child. And I don't think there's a single one of us that doesn't have inner child issues that we need to work on. So,
Indeed.
John, thank you so much for, sticking with me after all that time I had to take off. Thank you everybody for listening.
Mhm.
If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button and we will talk to you next week.